The small town of Willowbrook had always been known for its picturesque landscapes and serene atmosphere. Nestled between dense forests and a meandering river, it was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else's name, and the biggest event of the year was the annual town fair. For the most part, Willowbrook was the very definition of a sleepy, tranquil town, except for one disturbing tradition that sent shivers down the spines of its residents. Every year, when the leaves started to turn and the scent of autumn hung in the air, the town of Willowbrook would come alive with anticipation. The fairgrounds, located on the outskirts of town, were transformed into a colorful wonderland, complete with rides, games, and food stalls. Children, teenagers, and adults alike would gather to celebrate this one glorious day. However, there was one figure who emerged only when the fair arrived, a sinister presence that cast a shadow over the town's festivities. He was known simply as the Puppeteer, a mysterious man with a penchant for puppets and a chilling proclivity for murder. Legend had it that the Puppeteer had once been a renowned puppeteer who had traveled the world with his mesmerizing marionettes. But something had snapped within him, and he had returned to Willowbrook, never to leave again. Each year, on the day the fair rolled into town, the Puppeteer would make his grand and horrifying entrance. On that fateful day, as the sun dipped below the horizon, the fairgrounds were bathed in the soft glow of twinkling fairy lights. Laughter and merriment filled the air as townsfolk reveled in the festivities. But as night descended and the clock struck midnight, a chilling hush would fall over the crowd, for they knew that the Puppeteer was about to make his sinister debut. The Puppeteer's booth stood at the far end of the fairgrounds, shrouded in darkness and draped with a tattered, moth-eaten curtain. At exactly midnight, the curtain would part, revealing a grotesque and ghastly marionette show. The puppets danced with eerie grace, their strings moving as if pulled by invisible hands, and their hollow ease seemed to follow each spectator with a malevolent gaze. As the macabre spectacle unfolded, a sense of uneasy would grip the onlookers. Some believed the marionettes were cursed, possessed by the tormented souls of those who had crossed paths with the Puppeteer. Others claimed that the puppets were made from the flesh and bones of his victims, though such tales were dismissed as the product of overactive imaginations. Each year, the Puppeteer's performance grew darker and more twisted. He would choose one unsuspecting soul from the crowd, someone who had caught his eye for reasons only he understood. The chosen victim would be called forth to the stage, a puppet-like expression of terror etched across their face. The Puppeteer would then place a marionette's mask upon the unfortunate person, transforming them into a puppet for his gruesome encore. The victim, now under the Puppeteer's control, would perform a haunting and macabre dance, their movements grotesque and unnatural. And then, as the clock struck 1, the Puppeteer would cut the strings, releasing the victim from his control. But the curse of the marionette mask remained, leaving the unfortunate soul forever trapped in a nightmarish existence, their humanity stripped away. The town's residents were terrified of the Puppeteer, but year after year, they couldn't resist the morbid allure of his performance. It was as if an invisible force compelled them to gather at the fairgrounds, to watch in horrified fascination as the Puppeteer enacted his dreadful ritual. This year was no different. As the fair's opening day approached, whispers of the Puppeteer's impending return spread through Willowbrook like wildfire. The townsfolk debated whether they should boycott the fair or confront the dark menace that plywooded their town. But when the day arrived, and the fairgrounds lit up with dazzling lights and joyful sounds, it seemed that the Puppeteer's pull was irresistible. As midnight approached, a chill settled over the crowd. The Puppeteer's booth awaited, the curtain heavy with dread. As the clock's hands inched toward midnight, a collective shiver ran through the audience. Then, precisely on time, the tattered curtain parted, revealing the Puppeteer's eerie stage. The marionettes swayed and danced, their soulless eyes gleaming in the dim light. But this year, something was different. This year, the Puppeteer seemed to have chosen his victim well in advance, for a young woman named Emma had been missing for weeks, and her face now appeared on a wanted poster pinned to a nearby tree. As the Puppeteer's sinister performance unfolded, the townsfolk gasped in horror, as they realized that Emma's face was among the marionettes. She wore the same mask, and her movements were eerie and unnatural. The crowd's shock and outrage grew as they watched the puppeteer subject Emma to this terrifying fate. But as the clock neared 1 o'clock, something unexpected happened. Emma's mask slipped, revealing tears streaming down her face. In that moment, the crowd understood that she was not a willing participant in this grotesque show. They couldn't bear to watch any longer. With a collective surge of courage, the townsfolk stormed the puppeteer's booth. They overpowered him and freed Emma from her puppet-like state. The puppeteer, now unmasked, was a withered, deranged man, his eyes filled with a manic madness. The town sheriff arrested the puppeteer, and the nightmare that had plagued Willowbrook for so long came to an end. The cursed marionettes were destroyed, their dark magic broken. In the aftermath, the townsfolk vowed never to let the puppeteer's legacy taint their beloved fair again. They celebrated their newfound freedom, and every year the fair returned to Willowbrook, brighter and more joyful than ever before. But the memory of the puppeteer lingered, a cautionary tale passed down through generations. Willowbrook would forever be marked by the sinister puppeteer who only came out to kill when the town fair arrived once a year. A reminder that even in the most tranquil of places, darkness could lurk just beneath the surface, waiting for its moment to emerge.